It was supposed to be a light-hearted promotion for his new action thriller Final Oath, but from the moment Mark Wahlberg stepped onto the set of The View, something felt off. He greeted the co-hosts with his usual Boston charm, a tight handshake for Whoopi Goldberg, a warm nod toward Sarah Haynes, and a brief, clearly forced smile toward Joy Behar. The audience applauded enthusiastically, unaware they were about to witness live television chaos. Mark sat down, adjusted his suit jacket, and tried to ease into the interview. Whoopi kicked things off with a softball question about the physical training for his new role. "So, Mark," she said in her familiar drawl, "how many push-ups do you have to do just to wake up in the morning these days?" That got a laugh from the audience. Mark relaxed slightly. "Let's just say I do more before 6 a.m. than most people do all day," he said, flexing just enough to get another wave of laughter. The interview flowed smoothly for a few minutes. Sonny Hostin asked about the film's themes of redemption and honor, and Sarah wanted to know if he ever got tired of being Hollywood's go-to tough guy with a soft heart. Then came Joy. She leaned forward, eyes sharp beneath her signature glasses. "Mark, I have to ask, this movie's about redemption. A soldier finding peace with his violent past. Sounds familiar. Do you think your own past has played a role in how you approach these characters?" Mark blinked. A pause. "Well, sure. I mean, all of us bring life experience to what we do. I've been open about my past and how I've worked to grow from it." Joy didn't wait for him to finish. "Right. But I'm talking specifically about the assault charges. The racial attack back when you were a teen. You've apologized, sure, but do you ever think maybe you're profiting off a rebranded image of yourself while others, your victims, never got that second chance?" The crowd quieted to an eerie stillness. Sarah Haynes looked like she wanted to melt into her seat. Whoopi raised a brow, clearly caught off guard. Mark's jaw clenched. The charm drained from his expression. For a second, he looked less like the smiling Hollywood star and more like the fighter from Boston he used to be. "I've spoken about this before," he said, carefully controlling his tone. "I've taken responsibility for those actions. I've met with victims. I've invested in programs that help at-risk youth avoid the path I took. And frankly, I'm proud of the work I've done." Joy cocked her head. "You think that's enough?" "I didn't come here to be interrogated," Mark said, sitting up straighter. "I came here to talk about a film that actually helps shine a light on how men struggle with past trauma and violence. Not to be blindsided by a host looking to score points with Twitter." Joy fired back. "I'm not scoring points, Mark. I'm asking questions millions of people want answers to. We don't get to choose which parts of our history get discussed. You've had a long ride of redemption. Some say it's been awfully convenient." Mark laughed bitterly and leaned forward. "This is a talk show, right? You talk. I talk. Not an ambush. It's The View," Joy snapped. "And this is my view." Silence again. Mark looked off to the side of the set, clearly searching for a producer or stage manager. "I'm not doing this," he said suddenly, rising from his chair. The microphone clipped to his collar hissed as he ripped it off. "I've been respectful. I've answered your questions. But I'm not going to sit here while you tear me apart for something I've spent my life making right." Whoopi tried to intervene. "Mark, wait." But he was already walking off, shoulders stiff, jaw set. A cameraman instinctively followed, catching the stunned expressions of the remaining co-hosts. Joy simply shook her head and reached for her mug of tea, unbothered. "That was Mark Wahlberg, everyone," Whoopi said dryly to the camera. "Let's go to break." And just like that, the room exploded. On Twitter, Viewers reacted in real time. Mark Wahlberg walks off The View began trending within minutes. Half the internet was rallying behind Joy for holding a celebrity accountable, while the other half called her out for turning an interview into a public shaming. Backstage, Wahlberg's team was furious. No press photos. No post-show wrap-up. He was out of the building before the commercial break ended. What began as a morning chat had turned into a cultural flashpoint, and no one on that stage would escape the fallout. The fallout from Mark Wahlberg's sudden walk-off from The View was immediate and explosive. By the time the East Coast broadcast wrapped, millions had already watched the clip circulating on social media, a tense, emotionally charged exchange that had left Joy Behar stone-faced and Wahlberg visibly seething as he exited the set mid-interview. The hashtags came fast. Hashtag Wahlberg walks out, hashtag JoyVsmark, hashtag AccountabilityTV. TikTok creators dissected the moment frame by frame, analyzing body language, tone, and context. Twitter was ablaze with opinion threads, some condemning Joy for ambushing a guest on live TV, others praising her for confronting a Hollywood star with a violent past that many believed had been swept under the rug for too long. Back at ABC Studios, producers scrambled to contain the damage. They reached out to Wahlberg's team immediately, offering apologies and clarifications, but Mark wasn't answering calls. His reps issued a terse statement to the press: "Mr. Wahlberg will not be commenting at this time. He came to speak about his film, not to relitigate his past." Joy Behar, meanwhile, seemed entirely unshaken. The next day, she addressed the situation on air. "If someone comes on The View, they should expect hard questions," she said unapologetically. "You don't get a free pass just because you're famous. Especially when we're talking about violence and race. That's not just a footnote, it's a conversation." Whoopi Goldberg, known for her ability to bridge divides on the show, took a more measured approach. "We have to ask ourselves, when does accountability become cruelty? Mark's past is public record. But if we want people to grow, we also need to give them the space to show how they've changed." The View's audience was split. Some viewers canceled their subscriptions, angry at what they saw as a hit job on a man who had worked hard to reform. Others sent flowers to Joy, praising her for saying what needed to be said. Meanwhile, Mark Wahlberg remained out of sight. No public appearances, no social media activity, no interviews. That changed 5 days later. Mark re-emerged with a short, direct video posted to his Instagram. It wasn't polished. No dramatic lighting, no filters. He stood alone in a church pew, dressed plainly in a hoodie and jeans. His expression was calm, but beneath his eyes was the unmistakable weariness of someone carrying an emotional weight. "I've stayed quiet because I needed time to reflect," he began. "What happened on The View, that wasn't how I wanted things to go. I reacted out of frustration. Maybe even anger. But here's what I'll say now: I'm not perfect. I've made real mistakes in my life. Things I deeply regret. But I've also spent 3 decades trying to be better. Trying to serve, to listen, to give back." He paused, taking a breath. "I've sat with victims. I've funded reentry programs. I've spoken at youth centers. Not because it makes a good headline, but because I owe that. And I'll continue to do that work. What I won't do is allow myself to be reduced to who I was at 16 years old. I'm more than that. I believe people can change. I hope we're still a country that believes that too." The video struck a nerve. Within hours, it was shared by fellow actors, athletes, and activists. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson reposted it with a heartfelt caption: Growth is painful. Owning it is powerful. Proud of you, brother. Viola Davis commented. Redemption doesn't erase the past, it builds something new out of it. But the debate didn't die. Joy responded a day later during her segment on The View. I saw Mark's video, she said. It was thoughtful, honest. But this isn't personal. My job is to ask uncomfortable questions. If we only talk about the shiny parts of people's stories, we're not telling the truth. What came next surprised everyone. A week after the blowup, Mark Wahlberg was spotted walking into the Los Angeles County Juvenile Hall. No press. No security detail. Just Mark, in a baseball cap, clutching a folder under one arm. A volunteer later leaked that he'd spent nearly 5 hours talking with young men inside, sharing his story, his guilt, and his journey forward. The facility confirmed he'd donated a year's worth of funding to expand their education and therapy programs. Word spread quickly. Even some of Joy's supporters acknowledged the gesture. A few critics softened. An op-ed in The Atlantic titled, Beyond the Soundbite, Mark Wahlberg and the Long Road to Accountability, argued that while confrontation is necessary, grace should follow genuine change. In the end, neither Mark nor Joy won the clash. But something deeper had occurred. A raw, uncomfortable conversation about race, celebrity, and redemption had played out live, and it sparked a broader discussion that extended far beyond daytime television. Because for all the noise, the real takeaway wasn't about a Hollywood star walking off a talk show.